Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Jody Misiak. And last week I shared about the mess of moving and how I wouldn't change a thing. And I got really emotional because it's still really raw and has definitely touched my heart in so many ways. Today, though, I want to share about some of the things I've learned, or one of the biggest things I've learned is how strong I am. So I talked about how my husband and I stayed up all night long, pulling pretty much all-nighters, having a nap here or there. It was incredible. The strength we found in our crazy, darkest times. And I know other people might be experiencing other kinds of dark times or loss and things like that. However, when you're in it, when you're in the trenches, when there's no way out but moving forward, you can find the most amazing strength ever. There was times where I just wanted to throw in the towel. I was like, I'm done. Like, we can't do this. And then 2 seconds later, I'm like, well, one, we can't be done. We can't give up because we have to get out of this house. Like, we sold the house. We bought a new house. And it was just all these moments where it's like, we have to move forward. We have to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, pull up our pants, put on, our big grown-up pants and just get it done. And within that, it's just like, wow, it just shows how strong you can be when the going gets tough. And then it also shows, other people that support you through that process. So my husband and I, we don't always see eye to eye. We sometimes bump heads. Yes, we fight. And yes, we get on each other's nerves. Probably, he gets on my nerves more than I get on him. I'm not on his, I'm sure. However, family came out went out of their way to help us, especially when my mom would call and say like, hey, we want to have a going away party. I'm like, I can't even think about that yet. Like, we need to pack our house. And then she, against everything and bubbles and family, distancing and all that fun, like all the distancing that's going on right now, my parents took our kids for a weekend and things. So it helped. We could have used a lot more help. That's something else we've also learned along the way is asking for help. And it's, one of those things I've always had to work on. Anyways, so it's incredible the strength you find when you're faced with things that you're just like, we need to do this. We need to buckle down and do what it is. Like, I know the first all-nighter, I think it was like, oh, wow. Like the sun, it was kind of a big deal. It's like, oh, we're watching, the sun come up. And it's like, oh my goodness, we didn't sleep all night. And then as the days went on, it was actually just kind of like, we kind of stayed up later and like longer and longer. I think the first time I might have went to bed by like 6:30 and had a nap. And then, the next day it was 7 or 8. And it's like, oh, the longer we're doing this, the easier it's getting. Now, I don't recommend not sleeping. I don't recommend pulling all-nighters. It is not healthy. And I knew it was temporary. Now, in my head, I thought it was only going to be a couple nights or, a handful of nights. And then it went on. And obviously, the longer it went on, the more stressed out and the more like overwhelmed or, just kind of my positivity kind of was getting a little gloomy. The thing is though, like you just have to buckle down. So there was a quote that came to me that like just kind of came up to me and I posted on Facebook like the moment I had it. It's like, you don't know how strong you are until you don't have any other choice. It is incredible the strength you can find. So it blows my mind the things my husband and I did in that month leading up to our move and definitely the week leading up to the move. Now, people might be listening and be like, wow, you had to pack up a house and it was stressful and things. But I just want to backstory this up a little bit of what we were doing. It wasn't just packing up the things we wanted to take with us. We were letting go of so much. So because a lot of the Goodwill thrift stores and everything were closed or not accepting donations for a while there, we literally had a corner in our basement of things we wanted to donate. And then, so we got rid of that when things started opening. And then we just every week, if not more, like for a while there, I think it was every day, my husband was dropping things off at a Goodwill store. And it was just this constant release of things that we were hanging on to that no longer served us. Also, it's a cross-country move. So we were trying to just anything that we really didn't need, or we're like, we could get this again later, we kind of let go of. So it was not just here, we're going to pack up the things we want to take with us. We were also releasing the things that we knew no longer wanted to move with. And then also because it's been years of clutter. So if you're sitting around and you maybe have a little clutter and you're like, let's get to this, maybe just do it. I'm definitely kicking myself for hanging on to the clutter. However, my husband and I have definitely mentioned that we needed this move for so many levels. One, to fill our hearts and our soul and, just be closer to nature and the ocean and all things awesome like that. And at the same time, we had a basement level that just needed so much love. And there's always just something better for us to do, per se, if we're being honest. Like, we just wanted to do other things with our time. And in deciding to move and pick up and relocate, we had to finally deal with the clutter we've been hanging onto. It got a little crazy there because, my son was born in May 2016. And I had a C-section. I didn't want to, but that's just how life, things were, there's complications. And we decided the safest route would be to do a planned C-section instead of having to have an emergency C-section possible. So we had that. So I was laid up with, 2 kids, and my husband had to take care of a lot of things around the house. And then I actually had another surgery and my appendix out 6 months later. So it was just a lot of stuff added up. And then on top of that, my son didn't sleep through the night for 2 years. So I was sleep deprived. My husband was sleep deprived and worn out. And talking about asking for help, right? Like, there's just things that you look back and like, I was just so sleep deprived. I knew to ask for help, but it's just when you're in those moments, you just go and you're in survival mode. You just put one foot in front of the other just to get through the day. And it's just like I wasn't thinking problem solving. I was just like, how do I get through this day? Like, what do I need to do today kind of thing. And I was also starting my business in there. And it was insane. So talk about finding your strength and not even realizing how strong you are. I didn't even realize how strong I was in that process of not sleeping and doing things until a while later, like looking back going, wow, like we had some, challenging times. They make you stronger. I'm not saying you have to go through challenging times to become stronger, but I look at them as a way to get to know myself better, my husband better. It's team building, and just it really shows how much you can get through, even through the hard times. So with all that going on, though, with those 2 years of just, hanging on by a thread, our house kind of got cluttered. Our basement became, I don't want to see this on the main floor because I hate clutter. So we put it in the basement. And on top of the craziness, we were trying to renovate our basement. So actually things went in a storage cube in our front yard for a while until we realized like we can't do this all. And we actually put it back in the basement. And then it just, again, piled on and piled on and piled on. My son is now 4. So it took that time to push. So anyways, we weren't just moving, we weren't just packing up a house of, getting rid of a little thing here and there. We were getting rid of like an insane amount of stuff. Like every time I thought this is going to be the last time to the thrift store, I'm like, we still have more things to get rid of. Like it was just incredible. And we would have loved to have sold more things. But at that point, we were just like, let's give it a new, like as long as it was getting a new home instead of the dumpster, that's what made us the happiest. And then we would have loved to have like a garage sale and just different things. But it was not going to work out for us that way just because of how people just want to kind of keep their distance and stuff. Mind you, we started, after a while, we just started putting stuff at the curb because we didn't have a car anymore because my father-in-law drove our car across the country for us. So we eventually just had to set it at the curb and things would move. So I guess maybe we should have had a garage sale. Anyways, again, things we learn when we look back, right? Like we never had all the answers all at that time. Sometimes we have to go through these crazy, wacky, weird things, one to show us how strong we really are. Others be like, wow, we totally could have done this different. We could have done this. Like, this is the first time my husband and I moved this far away. It's the first time we went from house to house. We sold our house and bought a house. Like, that's a whole new process. So in all that, it really did show how strong we were individually and as a team. And it's like, just being in lockdown with family members, like, just seeing my husband 24/7 all the time and then throwing in a move. Like, it's just like, wow, it's incredible what kind of strength we do have. So wherever you are right now, you've gotten this far so far. Like, just think about how amazing you are to get to this point so far. It is incredible just how far we've come. How far you have come. Big or small, you've got there. Life definitely throws some curveballs, and it keeps it exciting. So even though you may want to feel like you might feel like giving up, life is crazy. You're sick of, being dealt with all these crazy wacko things. I keep seeing on Facebook where it's like, people are just kind of making excuse for things happening now because it's like, oh, it's 2020. Like, of course this is going to happen. Or like, what else 2020? Like, what else is coming? And I find sometimes if we focus on, we're dreading the next crappy thing, then we're focusing on the thing that we don't want in our life. And I try my best. Now I'm human, so I don't always do this. But when things get tough, you focus on the things that are working in your life or the things that you have overcome to get there. You don't focus on like, what's going to come next? Like, is it going to be another, something else going to knock me off my feet? It's like, okay, look how far I've come so far. And it's incredible. Now, this can definitely be hard to do in the middle of a tornado or hurricane, whatever you want to call it, like going on in your life. It's usually when we get through the storm that we can finally start seeing the light or seeing the solutions that we're like, why didn't we see this sooner? The thing is, though, think about all the things you have overcome so far in your life. It's incredible the strength we can have, especially when faced like dead on with it. And there's no other choice than to just own it and just do it and make it happen. Like, again, I can't tell you how many times I really wanted to throw in the towel and give up. And it's like, if we did things different, so we actually sold our home in Waterloo first. And it's funny because like the market, we knew it would have sold. So we actually probably should have done things differently. However, if we were doing the other way around and we sold our home last, we might not have actually bought a new home out in BC because, we kind of took the carpet from underneath our feet. We've kind of burnt the bridge. We sold our house. So we had to follow through somewhere. So we just had to do it. And, sometimes I guess that's kind of how we had to operate. We just had to do it because we probably would have given up part of the way through. So, it's like, well, we gotta move. Like, obviously, given the times and like at first I couldn't even travel to BC to look at homes and things like that. So we, at first we were looking at different options of renting and just different things too. So we were never going to be homeless, but we definitely were like, well, we did it. We sold our house and now we got to figure it out. So I'm not saying burn bridges. That's kind of just how it worked for us. And then we just had to do it. We had to buckle down and do it. So, when you feel like giving up or the road gets tough and rocky, I always say take a deep breath first. I think I've shared different breathing techniques. If not, I feel like I have definitely meditations on my website. And down the line, I look forward to recording some more now that we're working on settling in our new home. But it's just focusing on your breath and just reconnecting to the moment, the present moment. Nothing is overwhelming in the present moment if you're just in the present moment. Let me repeat that because I know it might sound crazy, but nothing is stressful in the present moment if you're in that present moment, because it's the past that's going to stress us out. If we, lean back on the stories that, it's like, oh, if it's happened like this before, it's going to happen again. Or if we're thinking about the future, like, where are we going to live? Or, is this going to happen? How are we going to do this? That is what stresses us out. However, when you find yourself overwhelmed or just stressed right to the max, like you want to give up, connect to the present moment, which is connect to your breath and just be in that present moment. Look at the scenery, whatever it may be, but connect. There's no future, there's no past, just present. When you do, then you can find solutions. You can find your strength and you can move forward. But if you act from the place of fear, overwhelm, and like just too much going on, you will get tripped up. And if there's ways that you can actually, get out and give up, like we didn't really have that choice, then those are the moments where it's like you will give up in those moments, but just connect to that present moment. And that's where all that magic will happen, so you can find that strength to move forward. I'm not saying you can't, obviously you want to move forward and things like that. And I also want to say sometimes you forget these things. I do this all the time. Like I've been on a self-love journey for over a decade now, and I'm still not perfect. I still have moments of frustration and anger. And in my opinion, those are not emotions are meant to be felt. For so many years, I felt bad if I was angry or sad, and I didn't even cry in public for so long. And it's okay to feel those things. It's just about, taking some time to yourself and figuring out what's going on underneath the surface. But don't feel guilty or shameful about feeling those things, because that's a part of you. Emotions tell you what's going on. So embrace those things about you and just know that you can feel those things. Doesn't mean, you're weak. It means you're human. So just remember, you are stronger than you think. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Talk to you soon.